I don't know how to do this, but but anyway, yeah, I'd like to just welcome everyone. It's the second episode in our workshop, so we should get started. First of all, this is an introduction to inclusive design and digital accessibility. So this is the next episode. In the previous episode, we talked about some stuff, but before we start, I'd like just to welcome Dr. Zainab, and please just introduce yourself, just for everyone to know who they are talking to. So yeah.
Thank you. So I'm Zainab, and I teach at Kuwait University, and also initiated a few grassroots initiatives, as well as recently my own business called Tech Connect. So I have a variety of backgrounds in human rights and as a consultant. And you can reach me on LinkedIn if interested. On to you, Ahmed.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to have you in. Okay, my name is Ahmed Abdelhady. Currently, I'm doing my best just to serve the region with what I know when it comes to the accessibility and usability. But currently I'm the head of accessibility and digital inclusion at Axessall, country representative 2021-2022 for Egypt with G3 ICT Smart Cities for All. That this initiative is really into accessibility only. Research expert with MADA, our ICT accessibility expert group. So this is what I do now. Before, I used to work as a usability and accessibility SME at Apple and usability and accessibility consultant at AbilityNet. So yeah, and before I leave Egypt, because I'm based in the UK. Before I leave Egypt, I used to work as an experience design lead at IBM, and this is my LinkedIn profile, just for everyone to be able to access it. And just to start off, I'd like to thank everyone for seeing this recording. And I'd like firstly to recap and just to remember what we have learned last time. First of all, we learned a little bit about some facts when it comes to disabilities and worldwide, and in some in the Arab region. Secondly, we studied a little bit about the accessibility and barriers. We explored some examples about barriers and how they negatively affect all people, not just people with disabilities. And we expanded more with these examples just to put everyone in the mindset that it's not just about the permanent impairments. It's about day-to-day engagement in our normal life. And there were a really big factor that I'd like to emphasize on, which is being disabled not equals having an impairment. Disability happens when barriers exist between people and their environment. So this is what we've emphasized on last time. And then we talked about impairments and how important to differentiate between permanent impairment and situational temporary and situational other impairments or disabilities. But before that, we explored more in the fact that we will all have disability eventually, unless we die first. So that was a really big fact that we needed to emphasize on. And we explored a little bit about the different types of disabilities and how to see it from the real side, not just from the medical side, or just as most of people think that it's about disability means permanent disability. It's not just like that. It's like, for example, we have the main 4 disabilities, or the main 4 categories of disabilities: hearing, visual, motor, or cognitive. Some of these disabilities are permanent and some temporary and some situational. So that means that 100% of the users, all the human beings, are disabled at some point of their lives. We talked about some examples like being permanently hearing disabled means that I am deaf, but sometimes people with ear infection suffer from the same, you know, the same impact that deaf people are living with. The same with loud rooms. So if I'm in a loud room, I will suffer. I cannot hear for example, what is playing on the screen. Visual disabilities, the permanent visual disability is blind, so we know that. But at some point, lost glasses cause the same impacts. Someone like me, when I lose my glass, when my glass is broken, I cannot see. I really suffer. So that's one example. Or sun glare, when people just use their mobile phones outside. With sun glare, they cannot see the screen unless it's just, you know, everything, every element in the component, element and component is built with this temporary or this situational disability in mind. Motor disability like tremors, but someone with a broken arm or an arm injury, they will suffer the same. So there's one arm that it's not used for a specific amount of time. Walking, like when people walk, they cannot just perform when it comes to the motion or the motor, like people who are settled or just standing or sitting down. Cognitive disabilities, for example, dyslexia. So this is one permanent cognitive disability, but some people, when they have some anxiety, they are not able to concentrate or perceive the information the same way as normal people or non-anxious people do. And at the same time, when another situation example, when you have child crying in the same room that you are in, it's really hard for you to concentrate or to perceive the written information in front of you. So that was a little bit of recap about what we've learned last time. I'd like just all of the audience, so far we don't have really big number of audience, so yeah, we're just waiting for more to join, just to tell us a little bit about your background. So please, Dr. Zainab, yeah, that's the poll. You can just tell us a little bit about this. Thank you. So yeah, I think, all right, so yeah, Abdullah is a developer, right? So yeah, I think this is the only information that we gathered so far. All right, I think we should move on. Thank you. All right, let's, Dr. Zainab, would you like to step in, or yeah, would like me to continue? Oh, sorry, it's about, yeah, there is another poll. Sorry for that. I'm really got confused. It's about the knowledge. So have you heard before about inclusive design? So it's the 3 options that we have, 4 options that we have. Yes, and I apply in my work. Yes, but don't apply in all the time. Yes, but not sure how to apply it. No. So please just provide an answer. Sorry about that. I forgot this one.
No worries. So for those just joining us, if you could answer the question, just so we know about your background. So if you're new to the concept or not, so it gives us leverage to attend to your level of expertise. So we have no knowledge. no one with any knowledge up to now.
All right.
All right.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair
So
enough.
go ahead, Ahmed.
So yeah, let's. All right. Thank you. Okay, let's start with the definition, because everything is easier when it comes to when we know about the academic definition for it first. So it's inclusive design is based on universal design. What is universal design? It's another concept that we add to the list. Universal design has been introduced by Dr. Ronald L. Mace, Dr. Sloan Goldsmith, and Patricia Moore. And their definition of universal design is about architecture and the architecture and design of public spaces, lowering barriers to make those spaces as usable by as many people as possible. So that was the main idea, that the spaces and the built environment needs to be accessible and usable by as many people as possible. And that was the main idea behind their definition. And the actual definition is planning considerations, is about planning considerations to ensure that a product, service, and or environment is usable by everyone to the greatest extent possible. So the whole idea about this is to implement or come up with one solution for everyone with all the abilities that could be there with these people. So that was the universal design, and accordingly it is the definition of inclusive design. For example, how about this view? If anyone would like to explain what they can see and what is the benefit out of it, that would be great. But apparently not so many people are there, so I will just move on. All right, so this is the sloped curve, and it is a result of a barrier inclusive design. It helps those with accessibility requirements or needs, but at the same time, it's not just about this, because people with wheelchair can just benefit from this. People who are blind and they're using the walking stick, they can benefit from this. Parents with strollers or buggies, they can benefit from this just to get on the curb. Delivery people can benefit from this just to move their stuff. Even people distracted by a text on their cell phones, like for example, when we just walking and we just concentrating on our cell phone, when we step on these, we know that okay, I need to focus now on where I work, because it's now it's the end of this curve, so I need just to concentrate more. So the whole idea is about exclusion, and I think Dr. Zainab would be the best to talk about this point, if possible.
So I think what we really wanted to do when we said we wanted to talk about inclusive design to this audience was to just clarify the intersection between inclusive design and accessibility, or the overlap, right? So they're both not the same thing, and they usually, we class them as tools to help either a designer or a developer to create products for the largest number of people possible. And as it says on there, like regardless of their circumstance, and we've talked about that just before. So inclusive design and accessibility tend to work together to lower the barriers that everybody experiences when they're online or using any product. So I think the important element of it is to talk about how we can empathize with all kinds of users, like a diverse range of users, so that we make sure that all of those products that we do build are accessible to them. So that was a point I really wanted to make. Thanks, Ahmed.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Dr. Zain, for this. Let's move on just, really quickly. That, this, I think this graph summarized what just Dr. Zainab just talked about. It's about accessible design is the primary outcome of an effective inclusive design process. So when we actually go through the right process to implement something inclusive, the outcome is accessible, whatever it is. So it will be accessible. It focuses on the end result or the outcome of a design. The goal is to ensure that this is the main thing. The goal is to ensure that all users, especially those with different abilities, are able to use and benefit from your product. So this is the whole idea, that all people with all abilities will benefit from what you provide them. If we think about it like this, so like, for example, here is the accessibility circle. Like, we talk about contextual, temporary, or permanent disabilities. So we talk about accessibility, we just focus on fixing or providing a solution for people with these disabilities, these permanent disabilities, like visual, motor, physical, cognitive, auditory, mental, speech. So if we focus only on these criteria, we will provide an accessible product. But actually, when we think about the gender as well, the culture and beliefs, the spoken languages, the age, education, connectivity. So whether I'm providing a solution, like, for example, I'm providing a solution for people in Dubai, it's not like when I provide a solution for people in Egypt, because the connectivity, the internet speed is different between these two countries. So we need to think about all of these demographics and these differences when we implement something. And when we include all of these categories together, that's when we can say that we are building something inclusive. And we have followed the right inclusive design process. So this is what we wanted to just grab your attention to. And I think yeah, we can start from here, just to ask you one question about or another poll about this handle, door handle, and this one. Which one of these do you think is more inclusive? The door handle, the top one, the bottom one, both of them, neither of them, I don't know.
So we have a unanimous bottom door handle.
Yep.
So that was the answer.
That is the answer, right? So yeah, these are the results, and the answer is the bottom one. That's right. And why is the bottom one? Think about it. The first one, or the top one, needs a couple of things, a few things. Firstly, it needs fingers. Secondly, it needs a specific twist and a specific I don't know, it's with a specific power, or just with a specific angle, just to be able to open this door. But the one in the bottom is really inclusive, because you can just open it using your hand, using your elbow, using your head, using your chin, using your even leg. So everyone can open the bottom one, but not everyone can open the first or the top one. And that will take us, thank you for contribution, that there are some principles when it comes to inclusive design. And I think Zainab will talk about this more or better than me.
So in theory, we're talking about inclusive design, but if we don't have any set criteria or anything to guide us, it's sort of hard to make that tangible. And I think these principles really reflect and make us think from a different point of view, let's say. So if you really wanted to apply inclusive design principles, number one says identify ability-based exclusion. So you tend to really need to understand exactly how people are going to use this product that you're building, and who it is that you are excluding. similar to the handles that Ahmed just showed. By choosing the first one, you're excluding a number of people,
Right.
one of which is my grandmother, who has osteoporosis and can't use her hands at the moment. So by doing that and identifying really who I exclude, I am able to think more inclusive. And then for the second one, it says identify situational challenges. And in this, we have to think of where the user is and what the user is doing and putting ourselves in his shoes. So how do they interact with the product? What's their experience? How's the accessibility of it? Are they able to access everything? Are they able to use everything? And with that, we generally use user research to identify these. For the third one is avoiding personal biases. So when we tend to have an idea and we want to come and build, we sort of subconsciously impose our biases in this product, whether it's the design team, developer team, or even the company building or suggesting the concept and the solution. So what you need to do is involve other people from different communities, different places throughout the design process. And that will help you identify where your bias is and try and eliminate it.
Right.
The fourth one is offer various ways of engagement. So by giving control, let's say, to the user and offering them different options of how to choose to interact with the tool that is you're building, and then you're catering to their unique circumstances and helping them. So for example, offering captions and transcripts. So a caption is the text that comes under a video. If you wanted to see what was being said, that's a live caption, for example. And if I allow a user to activate that, then in certain situations, and let's say maybe they were in a rowdy house or in a train station or doing anything in a noisy place, then they might prefer to turn that on, and that control allows them to feel better about using product and enhances their user experience, let's say.
Right.
So our fifth one is provide equivalent experiences for everyone. And this is a tough one. So what we want to do is here, in the terms of accessibility, you want to meet accessibility standards in general, which is the international standards that we apply when we check systems that they're accessible to everyone. But these accessibility standards don't necessarily mean that this product is easily usable by a person. There's no guarantee, or that it's giving them the right user experience. So that's very important to keep in mind and to explore those areas when you're building and designing. And the last one is to add value. So when we design a solution for one set of people or one category of people, sometimes it can benefit other people. So the example of captions and transcripts I just mentioned before, captions were designed for people who were deaf or hard of hearing. That means they're weak and they can't really listen without a added device or hiring the volume. But if we look at statistics now, both captions and transcripts are being used by more people who don't have disability or that kind of disability, which means that they've benefited greatly from a service that was designed for a certain group of people. So that's inclusion for your inclusive design. On back to you, Ahmed, for your cool example.
Yeah, thanks so much. I've heard an info about using caption. Maybe you were the one who told us about maybe 80% of YouTube users just turned the caption on, right? So yeah, it was crazy, impressive, really impressive number. So it was great. So thanks for this information. Yeah. Well, when we talk about inclusive, that's really important one. Well, in 1952, the Air Force in America had a problem with this airplane. This airplane has costed them millions of dollars just to get it ready. But actually, when they produced it to the Air Force, it wasn't performing well. So what was the issue in your mind? So whether it's a complex dashboard, what do you think? Can we have this poll now? I think we should have it. Yeah, airplane design, here we go. So if you please just answer this, even in your mind, whether it's a complex dashboard, what was the problem with the bad performance? Complex dashboard, the cockpit was too small or big. The area where the pilot is, sitting on, the tinted glass. So is it about the glass, or faulty measurements, or all of the above? Complex dashboard. So this is the answer that we have. Yeah, I think we have, we can just, it's complex dashboard. All right, so it's not. I'm really sorry about this. So the problem was that when they started designing the airplane, they have done everything perfectly. But when it comes to the space, the cockpit where the pilot sits in, they thought about, we have so many pilots, thousands of pilots, we need just to design this area for the average. But what is the average? Whether it was average in height, average in shoulders, average in chest size, waist size, hips, legs, reach, torso, neck, thigh, which average should we design for? So they thought that, okay, we need to take the average of any of these and design the space of the cockpit for. But actually, when it comes to this, there were a really small number for people that was sharing the same average in all of this. And the number was 0, because no one was sharing the same average. And the problem was this airplane was the cockpit was never suitable for any of the pilots, because everyone is different in height, everyone is different in shoulder size, in chest size, and even if they are similar in the above 3, they will never be similar in the next 8 or 10, 20 criteria that we think that we need to think about when we decide which user that will use our product. So that was a really turning point. And there is a myth called the myth of average, which is if you design for the average, you are literally designing for nobody, because no one is similar to anyone. And it's really important idea to think about and to consider when we design or when we build something, that we need to just not think about the average and just think about everyone. Plan beyond the average user, because this is what we need to do. When we design for the average, this is what we get. We get this area, which is behind this line, which is nothing. Building for the average user is the same as building for no user. Every user has a unique differences. So this is really important fact that we need to consider. But when we expand our way of thinking and include more people and more averages, that's where we design for wider audience. Like, for example, planning for unique users, outliners, this one, and their differences means capturing everyone in between. So when we think about these people at the end of the curve, we think about all these people, and these people will design for everyone else. So this is where we expand our thinking and our researchers, and how important it is. Creating personas with limitations. When we design, we need to think about people with limits. Like, for example, when I used to work as a UX designer, there were a concept called mobile first design. Mobile first design was that if you are able to put all of the elements that you think that needs to be on the screen, on this small screen, and you think about how to put them together in one screen, you are definitely able to spread them with wider screen, like the tablet and the web, the desktop screen. So this is what we call, we need to think more about limitations, and we need to think firstly about the limitations before we move forward. So people suffer from red-green color blindness, for example. So when I design something, I need to think about these people. People that has a broken wrist due to a skiing accident, like they don't have to be permanently impaired or have no control over their arms, but they can have accidents happen. People that does more work while traveling, so we need to think about these people as well. If we think about these kind of people and include them in our personas when we design something, we are definitely serving a wider base of audience. So this is really important as well. What we need to consider again, or as well, when we design for everyone or start an inclusive design process, that we need to break down and have this mapping based on what, you know, when we think about why. So this is why I'm designing something, but I need also to think about who I'm designing to and how these people will use it and what to offer for them just to use my product. Plan out the journey you want users to have. Plan out the journey you want users to have. Base it on the real behaviors they will take and how they can reach your intended endpoint. So it's more about, you know, people. Don't think about the system, think about the people that are going to use it. And there's another slide. I think there's a really important information that, a piece of information that Zainab will just explain it now.
Thanks. So I think this is mainly the wrap up. We wanted to just mention that if you do consider inclusive design in the correct way, then it is a win-win situation for you and your customers. And it brings a lot of benefit. So it expands your product's reach, it's allows you to be innovative in different ways, helps your company to even score some points on the social responsibility spectrum. And also it's a place where you tend to like move from an empathy point of view. So putting yourself in other people's shoes is a really good place to be, especially as a designer and developer. You get to think about limits that we've mentioned before, the varying abilities that people have. And by doing that itself, you can reach many more people and benefit them with what it is you're offering. So it does give you an advantage. And I think we're ready to close. Ahmed, do you want to open?
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, I think we are. And we need just to let people know that next time we talk about how to build accessible products. So it could be a really important part of this episode of workshops. And thanks Zainab, thanks Abdullah, thank you everyone, thank you. All right,
I'm gonna stop the recording so we can take some questions.